What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Knicks. I'm here with my co-host Dylan. We haven't really had the success lately that we've been looking for from the Knicks. We were talking about how big that Miami game was, how big these, even matchups against the Magic and Timberwolves. We feel like you should win those games. Especially the T-Wolves. They didn't have very key pieces to their squad. You feel like this team has been just not doing the job defensively, right? I know the Magic have been playing better lately, but that's a team you should beat. The Magic are a very vulnerable team. You should have won that game. They haven't played good defense. They have played really bad defense. They've really struggled to stop the three ball. They've struggled, to kind of find consistency. They've struggled in a lot of facets of the game that you don't expect this Knicks team to struggle in. The fifth seed's now a battle. Right now it's a dogfight, and the Cavs helped us out by beating the Nets on that buzzer beater from Okoro. But this isn't a situation for New York where the team is comfortably in the fifth seed, or with about 6 or 7 games left, you feel like you're going to cruise into that fifth seed. You've got to play with your head on fire to keep yourself for the sixth seed and from the sixth seed. And actually, Miami jumped over Brooklyn. So you're a game and a half ahead of Miami, 1 game in the loss column. You play Miami again, so this game is going at some point. So this game is going to be probably the biggest game of the year for the New York Knicks. End of the day, we know what the expectation for this team was coming into this week. We know what the expectation for this team is going forward. And they're certainly falling short of those expectations right now. But before we get into things, first off, how are you doing, Dylan? And secondly, the defensive inconsistencies. What do you make of it?
Right, so I'm doing good first off, and I mean, it's been a rough week for the Knicks, to put it bluntly. I mean, 3 straight losses and three games that you should have won, all 3 of them. I mean, I can take the Miami loss. They're a good team. I'm not going to discredit them, but Minnesota and Orlando in particular, you got to win those games. I mean, Minnesota didn't have their guys, and Orlando is not a good team, and Orlando didn't even have Franz Wagner down the stretch last night. So you should be able to take those games. Even if Jalen Brunson didn't play last night, you still should win that game. And, to bring up your point from earlier, the defense has just been awful. I'm just going to put it bluntly like that. It's been terrible. I mean, they're quite frankly choosing the worst time to stop guarding shooters. That was something they struggled with early in the season. They're kind of bringing that back, which is not a good thing. They're leaving shooters open. They're being late on closeouts. They're, not getting rebounds also. It's been a bit of a struggle. I mean, I expected, the Knicks to slide a little bit because you can't expect them to just keep winning every game. It's just, teams will get cold, but they're ice cold right now. I mean, they're scoring, but their defense is just very out of sync right now. And, guys in particular that have been pretty rough on the defensive end, have been like RJ and Brunson. I know Brunson's not exactly, marketed as a good defender, but I mean, he's kind of getting burnt every play. It's kind of becoming alarming. You can't let that happen because, that's why we're so bad at, rotating on the inside and why we're late on closeouts, on kickouts to shooters, because our defense is scrambling because, our perimeter defenders are getting burnt. And that's not a good thing at all. We need them to be consistent on that end of the floor. You can't win games if you can't stop them, and I think that's proving here. It's not like we've shot the ball bad in these last 3 games. We've actually shot the ball pretty well. Maybe not last night, but every other night we shot the ball pretty well. But we still lost because we couldn't defend, and that's unacceptable. You have to defend. You have to defend to win games, and then right now the defense, like I said, is just out of sync. It's something that needs to be addressed now because like you said, the fifth seed's a battle now. This isn't like it's still our fifth seed to lose, I think, but it's not exactly secured at the moment. It's in our lap. We control our destiny, but we don't have it secured. We're not definitely getting that fifth seed. We're sitting comfortably, but also not comfortably at the same time because we play Miami again, and Miami's now the sixth seed, and we're only a game and a half above them. So if you drop that Miami game, all of a sudden you could be looking at a tie between fifth and sixth come down the stretch. With only 4 or 5 games left. And you got to win these games because, quite frankly, they don't have a difficult schedule the rest of the way. They don't play again until Monday, and they have Houston. Houston's literally a last place team, and they're literally one of the worst teams in the NBA in basically everything. They're ranked at the bottom in every major statistical category. They've won 16 games all season or something like that. They're a really bad team, right? Bottom line. So you got to win that game. And I'm pretty sure we play at home that day. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we're home on Monday. So you got to win that game first off. Then you have Miami, and then you have Cleveland. Those are two tough games, yes, but those are now winnable. Those are now must-win games all of a sudden. Before you felt like maybe you could get away with not winning one of them. Now you got to win them both. You got to win them both because Miami is starting to pick it up a little bit, and at a time where you have to kind of pick things up. And then they close it out with some easy games with like the Pacers, the Pelicans, and the Wizards. You got to close it out strong, and it starts with the defense. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't disagree. End of the day, as you mentioned, the Knicks are in control of their own destiny, and that's something that they need to take advantage of because if they don't turn it around quick, suddenly Miami's in control of things, and it would be with 3 or 4 games left in the schedule with not a lot of time to get yourself back into things. So I don't want to make it seem like it's just one player's problem, right? The defense as a whole hasn't been great. But a big issue this year for the Knicks has been the inconsistencies of RJ Barrett offensively, sure, but defensively, he just hasn't been there. And it's shown a lot again lately. In a postseason setting where, the Knicks are going to be shortening their rotations and, putting their best lineups out there, there are legitimate questions about how long you can have RJ Barrett on that court in a postseason environment because you have a guy like Josh Hart who can play great defense. Quentin Grimes has kind of stepped up a little bit lately. The defenses have been elite. As you mentioned, the defense has to get better for this team, but that you feel like his shot is coming around a little bit, which is at the right time. That is certainly going to get him, keep him in the starting lineup. What do you think the Knicks are going to have to end up doing with Barrett's minutes in a postseason setting? Because at this point, it's hurting the Knicks to keep playing him like this, and it sucks because he was a high draft pick, and we've given him this extension, and we've seen flashes of brilliance, but it hasn't been there for him. So what do we do with this at this point?
Right, so Barrett's inconsistencies have been very concerning. I mean, it's been kind of this way all season long. We haven't really seen a consistent RJ. I guess, around December we kind of saw a bit of consistency, but, then the injury came and then the inconsistencies returned, unfortunately. So it's definitely alarming, and, come playoff time, they are going to have decisions to make about it. Maybe RJ won't be able to get as many minutes because of other guys stepping up. We have like Josh Hart now, who can kind of be inserted anywhere into that rotation and kind of just be an impactful player, right? So, it's definitely going to affect a bit of RJ's minutes for sure. And I mean, if he keeps, if he's scoring better, yeah, but, you can't win games without good defense, as I mentioned before. And if he's not defending well, then, he's going to get ran off the floor because then, teams are going to light him up and then, we may be scoring, but we're not stopping them. In playoff games, you want to build as big of a lead as you possibly can because, it's the playoffs. Anything can change. Anything can happen in one game, and one bad game could screw your entire series. The margin for error is very, very small in a playoff series. It's almost non-existent, really. So, you got to just, I don't know what they're going to do about it, but it's definitely alarming. And I definitely think if RJ wants to get significant playoff minutes, then he has to step up on that defensive end, because like I said, he's been scoring better late. That's fantastic. But now I need you to see you do something more on the other side of the ball because, basketball is not a one-sided game. It's, there's offense and defense. Players have to do both, right, to be effective. So, we need RJ to step up on that, especially perimeter defense. I think it starts with him because he's our main wing defender. He's the guy who, you kind of insert either like the 2, the 3, or the 4. So you expect him to be able to guard a few positions on the court. And now in today's NBA, most guys can shoot. So, we need to stop perimeter guys like that. And usually the 2, 3, 4 guys are guys that can shoot nowadays, on most teams. So those are some big things right there. He's got to step up on the perimeter because if we keep allowing shooters to keep lighting up the floor like we've been getting lately, because last 3 games, I mean, sometimes teams have hot shooting nights, yes, but 3 nights in a row where the team has a hot shooting night, you start to wonder, is it just them getting hot or is it actually our defense? And right now, I'm thinking it's the defense. First time against Minnesota, you start thinking, like, okay, maybe they just got red hot. Sometimes they just get a hot night, but it's now happened again 2 nights in a row after that. So I think it's the defense for sure. And I think RJ is one of the guys in particular that has to step up on that front. It's not just him. It's a team effort, like you mentioned. It's a team thing. It's unfair to single out RJ in this case because it is the entire team. But given how important RJ is to the team and how we're still trying to figure out what type of role he'll have in the playoffs. It's kind of essential that he, does something now and fixes that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't disagree at all with you. I think that's kind of the best way to put it. It's relative to expectations. I'm not going to expect the same defensive, performance of Obi Toppin, for example, or even Jalen Brunson as I would from R.J. Barrett, because that's supposed to be something he does well. And I think maybe you can insert McBride in there for Toppin if you wanted to, if you feel like Toppin's minutes just aren't giving you much and you want to get creative with the power forward position, you just throw Hart in there even. I mean, it'd be a really weird fit, but I think kind of getting a little bit weird might help them. They really have defensive inconsistencies when McBride's on the court. Yes, the Knicks are about 2 points worse per 100 possessions in terms of their offensive points per game, but they're a significantly better defensive team with him on the court. So I think that has to play some sort of value here. I think McBride's too good of a defender, and his shot is coming around. He's not as bad of an offensive player as he was to begin the year, that you have to I think you have to at least consider getting him minutes. He is a guy who's a Tibbs guy as well. He fits perfectly in the system, so it's not like it's a bad system fit or whatever it may be. But I think another thing here is just, it feels like a lot. I'm not trying to call these guys lazy, because these are hardworking. These are NBA players, right? You don't become an NBA player by being lazy and doing nothing. It's a lot of cardio. There's a lot of moving around. There's a lot of high intensity moments, quick decision making, all that stuff. You can't be lazy to do it. But I feel like the mentality is like kind of falling apart a little bit. I think this team's kind of spiraling a little bit. It's kind of compiling. And I think that came to a head yesterday where Randall is, quickly is trying to prevent Randall from getting a technical foul. And, Randall just refuses to listen there. And he has that outburst. You see him yelling at Quickly. Am I going to sit here and say that Randall's a bad locker room guy? That Randall is, Randall has had temper issues in the past. I'm going to call him a bad locker room guy, or say that, there's some beef between him and Quickly. Absolutely not. But I think you can agree with me here. That is kind of the becoming the poster, the face of, kind of some mental struggles for the Knicks lately. Some sort of like, whether it's their motor's not as high as it was before, or they're not, reacting to situations the way they should, or they're letting their emotions get the best of them. That can't happen on an NBA court. What were your thoughts on that situation?
Right, so I mean, it's definitely a little bit alarming with Randall, because this isn't the first tech he's gotten this week. This season he kind of made it clear that he wanted to, reduce techs, lower the temper tantrums a little bit, but he's gotten 2 techs now in the last 4 games. Some of it I understand. I understand it's a frustrating and long season. I'm someone who's actually defended Randall all year with that kind of stuff, because, I understand it's a long season. It's 82 games. He's played every single game so far. The team's it's been an emotional roller coaster with this team, to say the least. And I'm sure it's been that way for the fans. I'm sure it's been even much more that way for the players. Starting out so kind of inconsistent, and then you win these games, then you start slipping, you start worrying. I understand that. It's an understandable frustration, but at the same time, you do not want to put that onto your teammates. You do not want to do that. And I think last night what he did with Quickly was, that's not acceptable. I don't think he really deserves like a pass for that. It's not like Randall was having a good night either. So, I understand. Maybe it was pent up frustration from having a bad first half. Maybe it was pent up frustration from the last 2 losses that were not, that were pretty disheartening. I know Jimmy Butler kind of, taunted him a little bit. Maybe that was still kind of hung over a little bit from that. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the case is, but I don't think that necessarily excuses it from taking it out on a teammate. These are guys that you're supposed to kind of just, bond together and stick together. You live with these, you work with these teammates for 6 months out of the year. I mean, these are guys you see all the time. These are guys that you have to form bonds with to be able to have good on-court chemistry. We've seen Randall and Quickly have great on-court chemistry. So I thought it was kind of odd to see, Randall take his frustration out on him. I thought that was a little odd, because, even Thibodeau a while back said, like, that anytime Randall has an outburst, we got to do better at holding him back so, he doesn't get teed up. And then that's what Quickly was trying to do. He's just trying to be a good teammate and be like, hey, listen, don't get a tee. We need you. We need you to calm down a little bit. And then Randall kind of took the frustration out on him, which, I don't understand that. And then, apparently out of the half, Randall got out of the locker room, went straight to the bench, didn't even go warm up with the team or anything like that. I think that frustration kind of, carried over into the half, which is not a good thing, and I think it definitely contributed to the loss a little bit, because, out of the half, they had like an awful run, and then they had to climb back down 19. I mean, the resilient comeback was great, but you kind of had a feeling it wasn't going to last, just because, like, that looming cloud of frustration was still hanging over. You're still wondering what happened with Randall. Why is he doing that? Why are we going back to what we thought we left in last year? So he definitely needs to kind of relax a little bit because we need him. We've seen a composed Randall, and we see how good he can be. When he gets angry, I understand it's a passion to win games. I even put out a tweet about that. I understand he wants to win games, and that's great. I love that mentality, but I don't love the mentality of taking that frustration out on teammates. I don't love that. If you direct your frustration away from the coaches and your teammates, that's fine. It's a winning mentality. I understand. But if you're directing it toward your teammates, you get mad at your teammates for something that they're trying to help you do and help you relax and help you become better on the court, that's an issue. So I'm hoping, whatever was going on behind the scenes, gets settled, it gets squashed. They have 3 off days here. I'm hoping that gives Randall some time to kind of relax, kind of realize okay, yes, it's a long season, but they need me for this stretch. I'm the guy on this team. I'm supposed to be the leader. I have to be a better example than that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I think end of the day, we're going to be looking at this team and relying on this team to go out and, just look a little sharper out there and look a little crisper and make the right plays. The talent level hasn't changed, right? The expectations for this team haven't changed. The same 9 guys that were there in the rotation when this team was streaking and winning 9 straight games are the same 9 guys that are on the court yesterday against the Magic. Well, Brunson had it, it's a little different, but you get what I'm saying. The same guys are still here. There's no, massive injuries that the Knicks have suffered. There's no trade that they've made. There is no, this is the same team, right? Do they need to maybe make some minor adjustments? Perhaps, but end of the day, I'm pretty content with the roster. They just need to figure it out on the court once again, the way they have in the past. But with that being said, we'd love to hear what your guys are on the Knicks struggles, defensively on the court, with some of the outbursts, all that stuff. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We have a Twitter, we have an Instagram, we have a TikTok. We, of course, have this YouTube page. Our Twitter handles are above our heads. You guys can check us out for all of our content. We write for Empire Sports Media as well, which is your one-stop shop for New York sports content. So you guys can get plenty of content there in the written form. I'm Ryan Garcia. That's my co-host, Dylan Backer, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of Fireside Knicks. Peace out.